What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another review stream. And guys, you are very lucky today. We're literally just going to be live for pretty much the whole day today. It's a busy day here at We Are Tottenham TV. 2 streams scheduled for you guys. First up, we have got obviously the 3-0 Qarabag review stream. Then we'll be taking a break. Press conference will be with you at about 2:30, and then we will be going live for the Manchester United preview stream for the weekend, for the Sunday kickoff. But yeah, I guess we'll start off with the Qarabag match review. And look, it was a good, entertaining game last night, and it was a bit of fresh air in that sense, because how often have we seen kind of Spurs in the Europa League group stages, just really dull affairs, and you're thinking, oh God, can we just get to the weekend so we can see some proper football?
Almost like an international break.
Yeah, kind of. And like, not even just under like the Joses and the Nunos and whoever we played under Europe in those with those managers, but even like in the exciting times under Pochettino, you kind of dreaded those Europa League group stage nights. But last night, I thought it was really good to watch. You know, it was exciting, pulsating, up and down both ends, a bit like a basketball match at times. We were scared for our lives at times, but also, you know, had some really good football on show at times. So yeah, we did it the Ange way yesterday, I guess.
And that's the only way he knows how to do it. But I also think, not just because it was a Europa League game, but also going down to 10 men after 7 minutes, usually that kills the game. If a team's playing properly and smartly, usually that kind of action will kill the game. It would mean, the team with 10 men usually will just be digging deep and looking for counter attacks, and it'll just be attack versus defense, and they just sit back. But it wasn't like that. You mean if your name's
Mikel Arteta? Just say it, Sim. If your name's Mikel Arteta.
I think most managers, to be honest, when you're down to 10 men, you obviously become a lot more pragmatic. You sit back, and it becomes a bit of a boring watch. How many times have we seen it in the Premier League or whatever, when a team goes down to 10 men, it just kills the game, and it becomes like a really dull affair.
And if you go down to 9 men, it makes it even worse usually.
Yeah, usually. And it wasn't like that yesterday at all. It was a really open game. Spurs, despite losing a man, didn't let go of their principles. Still tried to catch out Qarabag with a high press, which they managed to do with the goal. Still looking to be a threat and attack. And defensively, we were very open, throwing caution to the wind. But I guess what you could say is, yes, they missed chances, Qarabag. But at the end of the day, we backed the quality of our defenders, that we would be able to defend most situations, and that if we did make it into a basketball game, we had the better quality to make it count, and that's so it proved.
Yeah, and I think it was right to do that against opposition like Qarabag. But I do feel like if you're coming up against, better opposition, like let's say that happens again on the weekend and we get a man sent off after 5 minutes, should we really go like all-out attack and leave as many gaps as we did yesterday? Because if Man United have the chances that Qarabag had yesterday, they probably put them away.
I wouldn't say we went all-out attack, but we just didn't. We still maintained an attacking threat, which I think a lot of teams don't when they go down to 10 men. We still committed players forward. I think the way Tottenham play, they flood a lot of players forward, and they usually just leave 2 defenders at the back. I don't think we didn't do it to that extent, but we still did it to a higher extent than most teams would with 10 men. And we got the reward for it, because the first goal comes from a high press, and who gets a goal from a high press when they're down to 10 men? It's very rare.
Yeah. Look, let's talk about Dragusin. We've slept on it. We've seen it back a million times, and it just seems to get worse every time I watch it, to be honest. 7 minutes in, it's bad control. The other player gets in front of him, and he just hacks him down. I mean, it's just really poor. And Kulusevski was speaking after the game, talking about how angry Ange was even after the game about that red card, and it really did just put us under pressure from the off. And it didn't seem like that with the first half an hour, because we were heavily dominant, we were controlling possession, and we were camped in their half at times. But it did get hairy at sometimes, and I'm just thinking, like, with Dragusin, with a really big, his agent doesn't stop talking, right? Literally, the guy's agent does not stop talking, saying he should be starting ahead of Van der Ven and Romero. He needs to be getting his game time. Well, he's got his game time in the last 2 games against Coventry, and now, well, he would have got his game time if he stayed on the pitch, and he got the 2 opportunities, is what I'm trying to say. And unfortunately, he hasn't passed in both those occasions.
Well, Ange was angry at the red, but it was interesting. After the game, he didn't blame Dragusin solely. He said it was the way we came out. We were being very passive in our passing and our movement, and it led to a very sloppy start, and it led to that incident with Dragusin. And I actually, having watched it back a few times, I'm not saying he's not at fault, because obviously he's the one who let Juninho get the tackle in and then dragged him down. So he made 2 mistakes in one motion. But when he does get the ball, he doesn't have any options. And Ange is always drilling into his players to play forward, always look for that forward option. And Dragusin was obviously guilty of waiting too long to make a decision. Obviously, if he's in a situation like he was yesterday, he should be taking a touch and just getting it back to the keeper and playing it safe. Obviously, that's not generally how we do things. But I do have some sympathy, because he gets the ball and there's no one near him. There's no option. Someone should be getting closer to him and providing an option so he gets an easy pass out. And he's under pressure from Juninho. He's looking for a forward option, and no one's helping him out. Now, as I say, in that situation, you just play it back to the keeper, and that's it. But I also think the team has to take part of the blame that he doesn't kind of have an option near him when he's being pressed from a Qarabag forward, and they're being taught they got to play forward at every opportunity. And on that sense, it doesn't surprise me that Dragusin's looking for a forward option when he receives the ball. And I think the team have to partly take some responsibility that they put him in that situation.
Yes, the team are being asked to play forward at every opportunity, but at some point, common sense has got to be kicked in. And if you don't have any options, which happens in a game sometimes, which shouldn't happen, but it does, you're right. You've got to check back and pass it back to the keeper. And Radu didn't do that, and he faces the consequences of that. And with Ange, what he said after the game, he doesn't want to point fingers. Ange isn't one to point fingers, is he? It's always about the collective. It's never about individuals. That's what Ange is about.
But I think there's a point to that. I think, and yes, Radu definitely deserves most of the blame, as I say, because it was avoidable. Even though there was no options, the situation he put himself in was completely avoidable if he just smart about it and just restarts. But I also think the team should collectively take a bit of responsibility for that situation, and that's what Ange was trying to say. Because yes, Radu was the one who ultimately made the mistake and it cost him, but it was also partly a team failure as to why that situation came about as well.
And obviously Lucas Bergvall was the fall guy for it, which he looked absolutely dejected, depressed, coming off that football pitch. They zoomed into him as well midway through the first half, and his shoulders slumped, hood over his head. He didn't even want to look at anywhere near the camera, which is very unfortunate for him, because everyone was so excited to see him coming in and play this game. Do you think it was the right decision to take off Bergvall? If you look back at it now, using hindsight, was it the right decision? Would you have taken off a different player?
I think it was probably the right decision. I was looking at the time who they're going to take off, and I think Bergvall makes the most sense, because you need Basuma and Sarr's legs. Yes, I know Bergvall works hard, but you would obviously trust Basuma and Sarr in that situation more than Bergvall, who's an 18-year-old kid, to be disciplined and to cover a lot of space. And there's going to be a lot more space now than there was with 11 against 11. You need to get an extra defender on, so you've got 4 at the back. So someone has to go off. And unfortunately, if you want to still maintain an attacking threat, you kind of need Son and Johnson, or 2 kind of wingers there to maintain a bit of pace up front. Obviously, Solanke is vital with hold-up play, so you need to keep him. So I can't really see another option, really. It's just unfortunate. It's one of those things, and it's gutting for him, but as he's an 18-year-old kid. He's going to get so much playing time this season. He's probably going to play next week against Ferencváros, so he shouldn't get too down about it. It's just one of those occasions where he gets an opportunity to impress, and obviously I know he's eager to impress, and he's eager to kickstart his career at Tottenham, and which, even though he's 18, he was a star player in Sweden, and he's obviously high in confidence, and he was playing every game when he was at Djurgården. So obviously he wants to get into that first team as soon as possible, and I understand that. But he's very young. He's got to have a bit of patience, and he probably doesn't have any patience knowing a player who's probably just wants to be playing football, and he's just desperate to impress. So I understand all that, But it's just one of those things. He's going to have to just take it on the chin, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm sure, and I know he said after the game that he hasn't had a word with him, but I'm sure by now he probably has had a word with him. Just a bit of a confidence booster for him, because his confidence might have took a bit of a knock yesterday, but I have no doubt in my mind that he'll come back stronger, probably have a cameo against Manchester United, and then be completely fine to start the game against Ferencváros. But
it shouldn't be that big of a deal. I know he was distraught, but it really, it's just one of those things. He should really understand the situation.
Look, as an 18-year-old kid, these things will be very frustrating for him. Just very frustrating when you're getting, when you're getting a big opportunity to impress, and then you're taken off all of a sudden after 7 minutes for no fault of your own whatsoever. It's just very frustrating, isn't it? But I really like the way we kind of handled ourselves straight from the off, from getting that red card, because as Ange rightly said, we started the game sloppily, we get that sending off, but straight from the sending off, something kind of clicked, didn't it? And we were dominant, we were camped in their half, we were we were all over them really, and the possession stats were clearly swinging massively in Spurs' favour. We got that goal straight away, and things were looking good.
Yeah, and obviously getting a goal through a high press, despite having 10 men, very impressive. It shows what Solanke offers off the ball, his tenacity, but he has that strength and that ability to get close to players and nip the ball. And not only does he do that, but he has a presence of mind when he does get the ball, charging towards the Qarabag back four. Good pass, slipping in Brennan Johnson, who obviously got the goal. And that was really, really crucial. I think, especially in that moment, as soon as we went down to 10 men, to get that goal right at that moment, because it just takes the wind maybe a bit out of Qarabag's sails, kind of, because it kind of tells Qarabag, even though we're down to 10 men, you're still going to have to make sure that you're defending properly and you're committing players back. You can't just go gung-ho, because we got the quality players even with 10 men to hurt you, and that goal showed it. So I actually felt like after that goal, I know Qarabag did have a couple of chances in that first half, but I thought they were a bit more pragmatic in that first half. Qarabag, I think we
forced that on them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they didn't kind of just go gung-ho and go completely forward. I think they did in the second half, but first half they didn't, because that goal kind of made them think, okay, actually, even though they're down to 10 men, we still got to be careful here, and we can't give them too much space. So we got that goal, and it was really, really crucial, and it was really well worked as well from the team.
Yeah, I thought it was really nice, pressing even high up the field from Papema to Sarr. Obviously, Dom Solanke there as well, pressing really high up the pitch. They win the ball back, slips in Brennan Johnson, and Brennan Johnson finishes with a lovely, lovely finish in the far corner, a bit similar to the position that he was taking up at Brentford a number of times on the weekend as well. And I feel like Brennan Johnson's really a man playing with a bit of confidence at the moment. Takes that shot first time, that's a sign of confidence. And not only that, but a number of times throughout the first half, he was getting the ball and he was showing confidence, trying to take on his man. And you saw when he did go off the pitch at half-time as a substitute, in the second half on the bench, he was laughing, smiling, and it was good to see that from him, because it's a far cry from what we saw at the Coventry game.
Yeah, definitely. So he definitely seems to have a pep in his step at the moment, Brennan, and that's lovely to see, because we know that a player like him, who's got the pace and the physical traits that he does, when he's confident and he's in the mood, he's tough to handle, and he's got pace to burn. He can take you on the outside, and clearly he's shown in the last few weeks he's got a very good finish on him. And we've seen that kind of finish at Forest, that strike across the face of goal. He scored 11 goals, and quite a few of them were like that, hitting the side netting as well. He's got a good strike on him. And unfortunately, he had a few similar chances against Arsenal, if you remember, from similar positions, and did make the most of them. I think one of them he blazed over, one of them he hit straight away. But now, since he got that goal at Coventry, he's starting to hit the corner. And we just got to keep feeding him in those situations, be direct, get him to it quickly so he's got space. And he can hurt teams, and he's showing that at the moment. So delighted for him, and let's hope this run keeps on going. Yeah,
opening half an hour, I thought Spurs were really brilliant. Qarabag did come back into it like the last 15 minutes of the first half. And it's expected, isn't it? When you're down to 10 men, you can't expect to have it all your own way, the 100% of the time, can you?
No, of course not, especially the way we played it, that's for sure. And Qarabag are no mugs, and they're a smart team, they're a good team. Clearly, in build-up, they were quite effective. And it was no surprise that they opened us up a few times, and we definitely got away with a few opportunities. Obviously, the one in the first half, the first one I think was when Ben Davies slips. Lets Juninho in again. It looked like it was going to be a repeat of the Dragusin situation. Luckily for us, Vicario was alert to it. Brilliant sliding challenge. And that was very important that Vicario at that situation became like another defender, because when we're playing a high line, you're going to need Vicario to be on his heels to make sure anything over the top he's sweeping up, and he did brilliantly in that situation, saved our skin. After that, actually, Brennan had an opportunity, didn't he? He took it past the keeper and missed the open goal, and that was a shame, because that was a really good piece of play from Gray and Brennan together. And then all of a sudden they started finding spaces. They played a through ball again. I think it was to Juninho, and Doggy does some brilliant covering, defending to make sure that he doesn't get the shot off. And then they had another opportunity where the left back got down the left-hand side, and he was giving us a tough time that whole game, I thought, that left back. And he got the ball across the face goal, and Juninho skews it wide. So the warning signs were definitely there in that first half that if we don't put this game to bed, they can definitely create chances against us. So luckily in the second half, we didn't allow that situation to happen. Well, we conceded chances, but luckily we were kind of 2 and 3 goals up by that point.
I think with the moment that you're talking about with Vicario, when Ben Davies gives the ball away, like just inside our own half, I feel like Vicario is kind of elite in those kind of situations. You saw against Chelsea when we went down to 9 men. How many times did, as soon as the ball seems like it's coming his way, he's darting out straight away, winning the ball back really aggressively. And it was same again yesterday. People have their problems with Vicario in terms of strength in the box from crosses and these kind of things. But I thought Vicario just played the perfect game yesterday. Literally.
Yeah, when it comes to sweeping, I think he's top. I think at the moment, I can see here in the league this season, he's second for sweeps outside the penalty area. I'm pretty sure.
Who's top?
Top is Brighton. It looks like the Brighton keeper. Last season, he was top of the league by some way. For sweeps outside the penalty area. So
they probably all came in that Chelsea game.
Yeah, a lot of it was probably in that Chelsea game. But he is very important to our high line. As much as Van de Ven has that pace in behind you, when you got Van de Ven coming back and then you got Vicario coming forward, two elite players in those situations, you have to really time it to perfection to get it right. And if you get it slightly wrong, either Van de Ven's going to win it or Vicario is going to win it. And if you hit it too short, it's Van de Ven. If you hit it too long, it's Vicario. So that he's very, very valuable, I agree, in those situations. It's something Lloris, especially in his early end of his career at Spurs, was really good at. It kind of slowed down come the end. But Vicario's really brought that back, I feel.
Yeah. If we bring up the stats for the first half... So it just shows you, what a big chance they created, because they had a 0.71 XG just in the first half, and we had 0.18, but we did obviously go in 1-0 up. One big chance created each. They had 4 shots, we had 2. Neither goalkeeper made a save, and they obviously had 4 corners to our 1 as well in the first half. And you look at that shot map as well. I think that's for the whole game, though. I think. Yeah, that's for the whole game. But they didn't have a shot on target for the whole first half. If you don't have a shot on target, you ain't going to score a goal, essentially.
No. I know, to be fair, only limiting them to 4 shots is not too bad, is it? To be fair, even if it was a good chance.
But their 4 shots were all inside the box, though.
Yeah, but apart from that chance from Juninho, I don't remember too many other serious opportunities they had where I thought we were going to concede. So... yes, it was a big chance, but I thought in the first half we were looking okay. Yeah,
no, we were for the most part. It was just like the last. I just felt like they tired a bit towards the end of that first half, which is explainable. Playing with a deficit of a man. You know what I mean? It is explainable. In the second half, the stats were a lot better in our favour, to be honest. 1.24 XG to us, 1.48 XG to them, and they had a penalty in there as well. 2 big chances each. They had 10 shots. We had 8.
The Solanke one is probably really high XG.
Yeah, definitely. Vicario made 5 saves. Their goalkeeper made 2 saves in the second half. So we did kind of really make it that basketball match we're talking about. It all happened in the second half. I thought Spurs started well in the second half and came out the traps a bit similar to maybe how we started with 10 men just after Dragusin got sent off. But then it kind of just turned into a mad game, didn't it? To both ends, just going back and forward, back and forth, back and forth.
After that second goal, I felt like once we got the second goal, Qarabag were like, what, screw it, we really needed to just go for this now. and they started really committing players forward, and we were starting to find more gaps. Obviously, they got the penalty, which they missed, and then Doggy gives the ball away, wasn't it, straight away from the penalty after the miss, and they got another chance, and then we hit them on the counter when Solanke wins the ball on the halfway line, and Son plays him through 1-on-1, and his strike was missed, and then they went down the other end and they hit the post. It was a really open game and really exciting at that point, and luckily we were kind of both giving as good as we got, and we were the ones who were clinical. Son had a brilliant team move. And obviously Solanke made it 3-0, and at that point it was crucial that we scored at really good times. You know, sometimes you know how this season we've conceded at really bad times, like the Leicester game and the Newcastle game. We conceded just as we were really on top. Yeah. But at this point, this game, we conceded a really crucial time. We scored, at really, really crucial times, just to make sure we saw out this game, because there was, especially that third goal, that was a moment where Qarabag were really...
Third goal was against the run of play, wasn't it?
They were definitely looking like they were going to score the next goal. And then we go and get that third goal and seal the game. So really crucial. But the third goal, I mean, obviously the second goal was a set piece, which we rarely score from. Despite the fact that I actually think we've looked a bit better from set pieces in general this season, created a bit more chances.
Thank Montgomery, mate.
Obviously, I don't think this was like a well-worked routine. It was just the keeper flapping and it falls to Sarr. We got a bit lucky on that situation. He puts it away. But the third goal, it was quite an impressive goal considering we had 10 men. The way we were able to build out from the back, finds Davis with a brilliant pass out wide to Sarr. He was able to find Decky. He lays it off to Son, who gets the shot off. And Solanke, if you actually take a screenshot of, I don't have it, but if you take a screenshot of when Son takes a shot on Solanke's position, he's actually behind two defenders at that point. And then you look at where he ends up when the keeper spills it. He's the one on the move. He's alert to the situation. He's the one sniffing out the opportunity for a mistake or a goal. And that's exactly the kind of player we need. I always feel like in those situations, like as much as I love Son and even Richarlison, I don't feel like they might have scored that in a way, because I don't know if they would have been standing still, admiring Son's shot rather than actually be on their heels, chasing the ball. And that's what Solanke's going to bring. That kind of that
pure poacher's effort,
goal poaching, just sniffing out opportunities, always on the move, never standing still. And he's really, you see his goals for Bournemouth, a lot of them come from that. And that's a very valuable skill, which you just need to be constantly alert to situations. And that is what Solanke's very, very good at. And that's, it looks easy because he ends up with an open goal. And obviously, when he gets to that position, it's an easy goal. But the work that goes into him always being on the move and positioning himself there goes unnoticed.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of people will just look at that being like, oh, he only scores tap-ins. He's just reaping the benefits of other players' hard work and them taking the shots, and he's just there to finish off. But people don't understand how important it is to have that positional sense in the game, and how important it is to always keep trying to get in front of your defenders as well. Like it's a hard thing to do, and not many strikers have that in their locker actually. And there's something to say about being always in the right place at the right time. And just in general yesterday, I thought Dom Solanke was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was his best performance so far in a Spurs shirt, and I don't think he's had a bad performance in a Spurs shirt yet. I really don't. And yeah, his finishing always could be a bit better, but he's got 2 goals in 2 games now. And look at the heat map; just shows you his work rate yesterday. Look at this work rate yesterday from Dom Solanke. I mean, in terms of a heat map, that's that kind of Harry Kane-esque.
Yeah, and he had to do that because we were down to 10 men, so he had to kind of dig deep, always be available to hold the ball up.
But regardless of 10 men, I mean, his work rate is just incredible every single game.
And that was one of the big things that the Bournemouth fans told us, he brings to the table. And I think it's probably one of the big reasons why we wanted him when we're comparing him. This is what we were saying before the season, when comparing him to someone like Tony. Yes, Tony, you could argue technically and stuff might be a better player. And I think maybe he's a better passer and stuff like that. But when it comes to what we want in the team, as someone who high presses, someone who's aggressive, someone who never stops running, I think Solanke really fits the bill. And I think we've seen that since he's come to Tottenham. He's always showing for the ball. What was crucial yesterday is because we're down to 10 men, we need someone up front just to hold on to it a bit and allow Tottenham to get up the pitch and allow Spurs to to get up and he can find his teammates. And I think he did such a good job a few times, actually. I saw Vicario get the ball and just go direct to Solanke and just cut out the Qarabag midfield, and he was able to make the ball stick and lay it off to the wide players. Obviously, a striker like Solanke, especially like a team like Qarabag, you want to see him a bit more in the box and you want to see him getting more opportunities. But yesterday wasn't quite the game for that. We knew we were going to have less of the ball, and we weren't going to have maybe create the opportunities we would in other games. But he made use of what little he got, and I thought he did really well. Obviously, he got an assist. He had that one-on-one. He obviously scored his goal. So a really effective performance. But he was a big reason why we were able to cause Qarabag so much trouble, because he was just a thorn in their side. Every time he got the ball, they just couldn't get it off him, and it was really, really impressive.
Absolute sheer work rate for Dominic Solanke. And I think, Solanke probably worked and did the most miles out of everyone in the team yesterday. I don't have the stats, but it was such a big collective effort yesterday. Everyone just put in such a big kind of effort for the team. You look at Destiny Udogie, him coming on after 7 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever it was, and the effort and the amount of running that he put in the team and how vital he was to us. Mickey van der Ven, I mean, every time it looked like we were in trouble, he was just there to mop up. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Archie Gray, I think, put in a massive effort for the team as well. Bissouma, Sarr, I mean, all of them. I can't think of a player yesterday that actually wasn't just running their absolute arse off for the team yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was a real team effort, and we needed that because we're down a man, and it's going to take that. That's the only disappointment in terms of, going into the game on Sunday, which we'll talk about later, obviously, but you would have hoped, what you'd really hope for was like a nice, easy 3-0. Like, it was a 3-0 win anyway, but like a 3-0 win where it's comfortable. We just dominate possession and we just, take them to the cleaners and we can take players off. Unfortunately, not only was it not easy, but it was had to put extra effort than we would have in a normal game, because we had one less man. So players had to do more extra running and all that kind of stuff. But you can't commend how the team is battling for each other, working together, really digging in and doing what Ange, is telling them to do, and they pulled it off yesterday. Everyone had to dig in and just find that extra, 5% to get that result over the line. But they found it, and to keep a clean sheet. I know they had chances, Qarabag, but to keep a clean sheet and win the game 3-0 when you're down to 10 men for virtually the whole game is no mean feat, even with the chances we conceded, and I think we deserve praise for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a good performance from Sarr yesterday, particularly in the second half. I thought he grew into it. Obviously got the goal, which was another kind of mistake from the keeper, but he reaped the benefits. Do you feel like that was Sarr's probably best performance of the season so far?
I think it was actually a game where, not tailor-made for him, but because we were down to 10 men, I felt like he had to make use of his best attributes, which was his ability to cover a lot of ground and his athleticism. And
that's shown by the heat map if you bring that up.
Yeah, and I think he actually did a really good job yesterday, just covering so much ground and making sure that we weren't being overrun in the centre. It was him and Bissouma essentially in a double pivot for a lot of the game. And I felt like in this game, because there was a lot more space, that suited Sarr. Obviously, when we're playing against low blocks and he's got to be a bit more intricate, this season that's where he struggled. But in this kind of game, those aren't the qualities we needed from him. We needed his best qualities. So in a weird way, the fact we went down to 10 men, it probably suited him, his style of play, I would say, a bit more. Not obviously he has to work a lot harder. I don't think it suits anyone going down to 10 men, but because it meant what we needed from him was his attributes. Yeah, I think it helped.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. Because if you have 11 men, you kind of want those two attacking eights in there with, Bergvall and a Decky, or Bergvall and a Maddison, or a Maddison and a Decky to really help break down the opponent. But because we were down to 10 men, we needed that grit in the midfield, and Sarr was there to provide us that alongside Bissouma, to be honest, because I thought Bissouma as well showed a lot of grit in that game yesterday. Yeah, he did lose the ball a couple of times with a few sloppy passes, but I thought off the ball, Sarr and Bissouma were just literally everywhere.
Yeah, and made it very, very difficult. Albeit Qarabag was still getting a bit of joy, but in general, they put a lot of hard work in. I think Bissouma was starting to get really tired, which is why he brought him off for Bentancur in the second half after the game was won. But I thought they were absolute troopers in the middle there, doing so much work, just cutting off passing lanes, getting tackles in, digging deep. And I thought they both really deserve a lot of credit for a lot of the work they did off the ball, because it must have been very difficult for them in that situation against a decent Qarabag side. And they just made sure that we weren't as open as we could have been if they didn't do what they did.
Yeah, you mentioned about the effect that it could have on the weekend. How much of an effect do you think it will have? Because you look at the starting 11, Vicario should be all right as a goalkeeper. Ben Davis ain't going to play. Archie Gray's not going to play. Sarr's probably not going to start. But Sonny, depending on the injury, Solanke, Brennan, that's 3. Bentancur yourself probably start instead of Basuma, I assume. So none of the midfield will start.
Yeah,
so you're looking at the front 3, Mickey van der Ven and Destiny Udogie, who came on very early in the game.
Yeah, which isn't too bad. And considering, I don't know what players went off early for United, but they went pretty strong in midweek, albeit they get a extra day's rest. So the fact that we got, the fact that Romero obviously didn't play because he was suspended. Maddison got a full game's rest. Porro got a full game's rest. Bentancur had a bit of only played half an hour. Those are all really positive, that we were able to get through the game and actually win the game 3-0 without having to use those players. So that's good. But obviously the front 3, hopefully they're not looking leggy on Sunday and tired, because we know we don't actually have too many other options right now. We've got Werner and we've got Mikey Moore, but those aren't really options which you try. I don't know if you trust from the start at Old Trafford.
There is an option to stick Kulu out on the right wing as well.
You could put Kulu there, maybe even start Bergvall or start Sarr on Sunday. You could do that, but I don't know. Do you want to take Decky out of the centre right now? It's just...
You don't really want to do that, but because we're limited of options,
might have to, yeah.
At some point in the game anyway. Yeah, that is the Man United team that played against Twente, and they did go very strong. Ugarte, Ericsson, Diallo, Fernandes. They didn't make subs until 20 minutes to go. So a lot of them just played the majority of the game, which
they looked quite tired come the end. I don't know if you watched the game.
Watch it.
I mean, they played well, but then they conceded the goal, and they nearly conceded a second. And if you watch the goal they conceded, I mean, there's one player who just runs from right back all the way through their whole team.
Is that right?
And sets up the equaliser, and they look absolutely knackered. One player who's actually playing really well. I guess this isn't the preview for United, but Ericsson's looking really good at the moment, so that's quite interesting. So,
yeah, he keeps scoring, doesn't he?
Yeah, so it's been interesting against us. But yeah, so look, there's no excuses. Yes, we might be a bit leggy and tired and stuff like that, or more tired than we should be.
That's what you got 5 subs for.
But exactly, we've got no excuses. We've got players there that should look fresh. And also, you saw how much it helped Maddison.
That's a good point, actually, as Cantab says. Brennan only played 45 minutes yesterday.
That's a good point. Also, the fact you saw how it looked having a fresh Maddison against Brentford after he got rested against Coventry. Again. So that's really important. Porro as well. That's going to be really important. So the players I'm worried about, I guess the only real player I'm worried about is a bit of Solanke, because he's played a lot, but hopefully it's just a way of him getting to match fitness.
And he is coming back from injury.
Obviously, Son, I'm very worried about. We'll have to wait and see about him. And Udogie, because he's playing a lot at the moment. But again, it's another player where you could argue the minutes might help his match fitness. So I don't think it should be an excuse, this game, albeit, there is a risk that we had to overwork ourselves in this one and it could bleed into Sunday. But look, there'll be a couple of days rest, and hopefully these players will recover, and hopefully we'll have enough fresh players to get the result.
Yeah, look, we'll get into the Man United game on the next stream, but really good to get our campaign off with 3 points. Impressive.
Into the top 5 in the league.
Yeah, I think top 5 or top 4. I can't remember which one, but yeah.
Look at the Europa League. Is it?
I've got it here.
Go on.
If you put up the phone again, this is the Europa League standings after the first game. Spurs sitting in 4th.
Look at that, top 4.
Under Ajax, FCSB, and Lazio. Galatasaray up there, Rangers up there. Yeah, I mean, look,
so
the top 13 teams all on 3 points.
The top 13, but we're there on goal difference, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
it can't be.
The only team that's got better goal difference than us is Ajax, who won 4-0.
Okay, good. I'm just trying to. Where is it? Is it on the? How do you? Oh, is it the league? Do you have the league there? Standings.
It's called standings, yeah.
Okay. Oh, it doesn't have the points here.
Here.
So the top 13. So that's only 13 teams out of 36 won. So there's a lot of draws this week.
Someone just mentioned in the comments Porto playing Man United next week.
And they're both in the top 8. I know United drew.
No, I'm saying it's a big game though.
Yeah, very big game. I wouldn't bet against Porto.
You know, if we can go to Hungary and take the 3 points, that already puts us in a massively good position, commanding position.
If we get a win, if we win our first 2, all of a sudden we probably need 1 win. We're already probably in the playoffs.
Yeah, playoffs. Yeah, top 8. No,
I'm saying, but already you're through to the next round regardless.
Yeah.
So obviously we should be thinking about that top 8. That's for sure.
Do you think though, if we do that and win our first 3 games, what's our first 3 games? We got Qarabag, Ferencvaros, and then
the Rangers.
No, RZ Alkmaar at home.
RZ.
So you do expect to win those first 3 games.
Definitely.
And if we do win those first 3 games and we're already qualified for the playoffs, does Ange starting the likes of Will Lancashire and Mikey Moore in the Europa League games?
The only problem with that is then the really tough games come in. Obviously, you could argue that we can
it's
maybe
called character building, Sim. It's called character building.
Galatasaray away, Roma at home. These are tough games. So it'll be up to Ange to decide if he feels like they're ready for that kind of test. But I wouldn't mind it. Why not? I mean, he's already starting 18-year-olds like Bergvall and Gray in these games, so he trusts them enough to play Europa League. And to be fair, I know Bergvall didn't get many minutes, but Gray did pretty well. Like, they seem to be up to it at the moment. Like, they don't seem out of place, is what I would say. So, maybe he'll start playing more change teams further down the line.
Porto actually lost their first game. They lost 3-2 away at Bodo Glimt, which is an interesting one. But look, great to get off to a winning start. 3-0 at home to Qarabag, going down to 10 men after the first 7 minutes. So you got to give credit to the team, gritty performance, credit to Ange as well for the way he set us up, particularly after going down to 10 men. So I was happy. I was really happy after the game, albeit we did concede a couple of really gilt-edged chances. And we didn't even talk about the penalty that we gave away. Having stepped in it and seen it again, what's your thoughts on it? Because I've seen a lot of people saying, it's a really soft penalty, shouldn't have been a penalty, but I've seen it again and I don't see why it shouldn't have been a penalty.
I think it is a soft penalty. It probably is a penalty. He obviously clips the Qarabag player, and then he does win the ball on the follow through. Like, I don't know how much he did impact I think he makes contact, but did he impact the Qarabag player that much? I don't know. Like, it's one of those, if the referee doesn't give it, I don't think it's blatant enough that VAR gets involved and overturns that decision. So from that point of view, I don't think it's like a stonewall penalty. But like, Basuma does catch him, and he does go over. So he does clip the player before he gets the ball. So from that point of view, the fact that he gave the penalty, I don't think Basuma can really complain too much. So I think, was it a penalty? Probably just about. But I do think it's a bit soft, but I do think it is a penalty.